Assalamu alaikum. In this video, I will discuss about growth hormone that I will represent by showing GH. Growth hormone is a hormone that is released from the pituitary gland. And growth hormone is stimulated because as we know pituitary, and which part of pituitary? It is anterior pituitary gland, which is responsible for secretion of growth hormone. And as we know that hypothalamus stimulates the anterior pituitary gland to secrete certain types of hormone. So growth hormone releasing hormone that is released from the hypothalamus, and it will cause secretion of growth hormone. And similarly, hypothalamus will release somatostatin that will inhibit secretion of growth hormone. But in overall our body, this hormone is released much more in quantity as compared to somatostatin. That's why the growth hormone levels are high in our body and this somatostatin does not influence that much the growth hormone. That's why I mean to say that growth hormone is mainly present in our body. Now that we will discuss that what are the factors that will cause growth hormone secretion from the anterior pituitary. So first I want to tell you about stress hormones that will help you to understand this process more easily. There are few hormones that are released in the condition of stress. Now what is the purpose of these hormones? What will they do? They will increase blood glucose level, and they will cause increase free fatty acids in the blood. For what reason? To utilize it as source of energy. Okay, so when the body is in stress, so all the stress hormones will be released that will cause increase in blood glucose level and free fatty acids, so that our body can utilize them for the energy purpose. Now what type of stress hormones are present in our body? That is catecholamines, similarly glucocorticoids, and similarly glucagon. And then we have growth hormone that we will discuss now here. And then there is one more, ADH, that is also known as vasopressin. These are the stress hormones which are released when they all will do one thing, they will cause increased blood glucose level and cause increased free fatty acids. That is that the free fatty acid will be coming from the adipose tissues, right? Now I will discuss what are the stimulus for growth hormone to increase its level. So first is stress. As I told you, it is a stress hormone. So in stress conditions, growth hormone level will be increased. In condition of fasting, starvation, in decreased blood glucose level, these all are the factors that will cause increase in growth hormone. Similarly, in exercise, this will cause increase in growth hormone secretion, because during exercise, lactic acid is produced, glucose level decreases automatically, so growth hormone will be stimulated because it is a stress hormone. Similarly, then we have during the sleeping, growth hormone level will be high, it will be released more. And if I specifically talk at which start there, if I make a graph that at what point growth hormone will be secreted, so the graph will be like this, that the start of sleep. In the start of sleep, growth hormone is high, and if I talk about cortisol, that is high at the end of sleep. When we wake up, if I show here time graph, then during the start of sleeping, growth hormone level will be high, and when we wake up, that is end of our sleeping time, cortisol level will be high. Okay, now these are the few stimulus for the growth hormone: stress, fasting, starvation, exercise during sleep, growth hormone will be released, and similarly decreased blood glucose level also lead to stimulation of growth hormone. Now what are the factors that decrease growth hormone secretion? That is increased blood glucose level. Opposite of that, when the body is in relaxed state. Okay, and similarly, not growth hormone is released when we are in normal relaxed state, but not in that much quantity, right? And similarly, growth hormone is cortisol, inhibit growth hormone secretion, right? And other factors are like weight. Okay, these are the mainly things that will decrease growth hormone secretion, right? Now, if we talk about that, what will be the action of growth hormone? Right, action of growth hormone, what will it do? So it will cause what its function is to increase blood glucose level, because it is a stress hormone, right? So what will do? One thing is that it will cause protein synthesis, that is its anabolic role, because as we know, synthesis of something is anabolic, so it will cause protein synthesis. Now how it will do protein synthesis? First it will cause entry of amino acids into cell to increase protein synthesis, right? One thing what it will do, that it will increase amino acid entry into the cell. Second is it will increase translation process. Third, it will increase transcription process, so that more amount, all these factors will cause increase in protein synthesis, right? Now, one more thing, that growth hormone wants our body to utilize free fatty acid as source of energy. Normally, we use carbohydrates as source of energy, then proteins by gluconeogenesis form, like amino acids via gluconeogenesis, they will form glucose that will be used as the source of energy. But what growth hormone wants, that it utilizes the free fatty acid as source of energy. Now, how it will do that? We can simply say it will cause lipolysis, that is breakdown of lipids. Right? So that is an catabolic role of growth hormone, right? Because here we talk about it will increase protein synthesis. Similarly, here it will cause catabolic role, that is it's called lipolysis, that from adipose tissue. Consider this is the adipose tissue, it has consists of very fatty acids, it will come in bloodstream, right? And here it will travel to the liver, and here in liver we are what will be done there? Here it will be ketone body synthesis, because Because what is the function of growth hormone? It mobilizes the free fatty acids from the adipose tissue into bloodstream, and when these free fatty acids will enter into the liver, they will cause ketone body synthesis. So consider, and this is the role of the growth hormone, so it utilizes free fatty acids as source of energy. Now consider that in a condition that growth hormone is secreted in excess, right? So what will be there? That mobilization of free fatty acids will be increased, right? Because it will stimulate the adipose tissue to release free fatty acid, which will enter in the liver. So mobilization of free fatty acids from adipose tissue to the liver will increase. So this will lead to fatty liver, because since more amount of fatty acids are moving towards liver. And similarly, and this fatty acids that are mobilized into the liver, it will undergo ketone body synthesis, and as a result of which body will suffer from ketosis, right? Because that is increasing ketone bodies. So this is the role. If there is excessive secretion of growth hormone, mobilization of free fatty acids into the liver will increase, as a result of which there will be fatty liver, and this and which may lead to ketosis, that is for ketone body synthesis that occurs from the free fatty acids, right? Okay, as I told you that growth hormone is a type of it is a stress hormone, right? So it always wants increase blood glucose level, right? So it will cause hyperglycemia. Now consider, but as we know, our body have insulin that will cause make the glucose level back to normal, right? Now consider in a condition that there is excessive increase of growth hormone, so it will cause increase in blood glucose level, which will lead to hyperglycemia. And since it will continuously cause what growth hormone wants, that we utilize free fatty acids as source of energy instead of carbs. Means the growth hormone does not want carbs as a source of energy should be utilized, so our body will not utilize more amounts of carbs, and as a result of which body will body will have hyperglycemia. So as we know, in case of hyperglycemia, insulin is released, right? But since growth hormone is released in excess, and if for in a chronic condition, this hyperglycemia will be constant, and insulin body, what will happen that after some time, body will be resistant to insulin. So this will lead to diabetes, because what we know that in diabetes our body is resistant to one type of diabetes, that is probably diabetes type 2, in which our body is resistant to insulin. So if there is increased growth hormone, excessive amount of secretion of growth hormone, hyperglycemia will be constant, and body will be resistant to insulin. As a result, diabetes will be there. So we can say that growth hormone is a diabetes. It is a diabetic hormone that will cause diabetes. So the word was diabetogenic. That growth hormone is a diabetogenic hormone that will cause diabetes, right? Now, growth hormone has two roles. One is its direct action, and the second is indirect action. In direct action, as we know, it increases blood glucose level, so it will act as anti-insulin role, because since we know what is the role of insulin, to decrease the blood glucose level. So here, growth hormone has an anti-insulin role. Simply, and as I discussed earlier, that it will cause lipolysis, that is breakdown of lipids to produce fatty acids, and the body, so that the body utilize free fatty acids as a source of energy, and it will cause increase in protein synthesis. Now, let's move to the indirect actions of the growth hormone. It will stimulate the liver to produce IGF, that is insulin growth factor 1, and it is also known as somatomedin. I have discussed earlier somatostatin, that is a hormone released from the hypothalamus, and it is an inhibitory hormone, and that decreases the secretion of growth hormone from the anterior pituitary. Now I am here, the word I am saying here is somatomedin, that is also known as insulin growth factor 1, which is released from the liver. And what factor release this growth factor? That is growth hormone will cause IGF secretion. Now what is the role of this IGF? It will decrease lipolysis, it will decrease protein synthesis, it will decrease blood glucose level, and it will cause increased chondrogenesis. Chondrogenesis, I mean to say that it will cause increased cartilage synthesis, right? Chondro means cartilage, so here it will increase cartilage synthesis. Now, as you can see, the roles are opposite. The IGF that is secreted via the growth hormone, it will cause decrease lipolysis. Similarly, it will cause protein synthesis to decrease, whereas growth hormone, the direct action is increase protein synthesis, increase lipolysis, right? So the IGF has opposite roles as compared to the growth hormone. But in our body, what happens that this IGF is not produced in too much amount, not produced in high amount. So in normally what happens, this direct action of growth hormones is dominant to the roles done by the IGF. So in normal conditions, these factors are predominant over the indirect action of the growth hormone. Hope you got my point. I mean to say you get my point, right? Now let's discuss that how IGF will cause cartilage synthesis. As we know that the bone have epiphyseal end, and here and this is the diaphysis. The long bone have this region, diaphysis, and this epiphyseal end, and the connection between diaphysis and epiphysis is called epiphyseal plate. Now, what is done that, and here during our growth days, means when the child is growing in the early teen age, here the cartilage is present. Epiphyseal plate is made up of cartilage, and it keeps on, there is addition of cells continuously, so that the overall length of the bone increases, right? So here at the epiphyseal plate, mostly cartilage is present, but when we become adult and growth of our body stops, bone's growth stops, so this cartilage is replaced by the bone, right? So at this epiphyseal plate, there, what is the action of growth hormone? Growth hormone will increase IGF receptors. IGF-1, that is somatomedin receptors, and it will also cause IGF-1 secretion from liver, and this IGF will act on these receptors, and these receptors will cause increase in cartilage synthesis, or I can say these receptors will act on chondrocytes. These are the cells responsible for cartilage synthesis, and as a result of which more and more cartilage will be added at this point, and as a result of which the growth of the bone increases. And IGF-1 can directly act on chondrocytes. So what the purpose of telling is that growth hormone via this IGF, by increasing these IGF receptors, it will cause increase in the bone length, and IGF can directly increase the bone length by acting on these chondrocytes. These are the cartilaginous cells which are responsible for increase in bone growth. Now, as we know that growth hormone is responsible for growth of our body, but in start it will cause increase in bone length. But after a certain age, as we know that after the teenage, the growth of our bone is stopped, then it will cause thickening of bones. And as we know, the growth hormone, if there is over secretion of growth hormone, it will lead to gigantism, that is the body and overall the posture of the person becomes too, the person has large height, and as you have seen, gigantic peoples, right? And similarly, when there is decrease, dwarfism will be there when decreased growth hormone is released. So that will be further beautifully discussed in pathology, and I hope I will upload that video, inshallah. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you so much.